Breaking news. Photos of a nasty purple bruise began circulating around the internet rapidly, only hours before Donald Trump abruptly took off from Davos, Switzerland, having gained nothing for the United States. I would argue this was a net loss for the United States in terms of respectability on the global stage, in terms of alliances. Our allies will certainly never forget the way Donald Trump was speaking to them regarding Greenland, the way Donald Trump spoke on that stage, and the way that he melted down and ended up just conceding for absolutely nothing. According to BBC News, Trump is now walking away from acquiring Greenland and quietly backed down after the NATO secretary stepped in, talked him off a ledge, basically patted his back, like burped him like a child and put a pacifier in his mouth. So Trump is simultaneously an absolute child who is making everything about him, but also at the same time an old decrepit man who has rotting hands, but also smears orange concealer, or is it orange bronzer? Probably orange bronzer on his face every single morning before stepping in front of the entire globe. Donald Trump then announced he is leaving. He is departing Davos. And again, we've gained nothing. We've threatened our allies for weeks and weeks and weeks with tariffs, with potential military use of force, and I'm personally glad Donald Trump is stopping this, but our allies will not forget. Our allies will never, ever forget. Look at Donald Trump's hand in this photo. It is now his left hand which is rotting from the inside, and as Dean Obadiah points out, in 2025, Trump regime officials said Trump's bruises on his right hand were because he shook so many hands. That's the first photo on the left. Now, in Davos, Trump has a huge bruise, arguably a bigger bruise, on his left hand. Is this for IV medications? Did they switch hands because the veins in his right collapsed? What happens? What happened? This is a cover-up. This is like the 20th cover-up over the past month. Remember, they tried to cover up Renee Nicole Good's murder by spiking the investigation. They are actively covering up the Epstein files while covering up certain Venezuela strikes in the Caribbean, while also covering up economic numbers. Alena reports, Trump appeared to have heavy bruising on his left hand while departing Davos today. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt told CNN that's because Trump hit his hand on the signing table during the Board of Peace event. Quote, at the Board of Peace event today in Davos, Trump hit his hand on the corner of the signing table, causing it to bruise. That in and of itself is incredibly concerning. Look at Governor Newsom almost guessed that with his press account. He said, no, Trump shakes hands with his left hand now. Very common knowledge. We all know that he uses both hands to shake hands. Obviously, Caroline Leavitt didn't actually say that, but that was Governor Newsom making fun of her. Caroline is actually just making up the excuse that Donald Trump bumped his hand on a table. That, combined with all of his behavior and rhetoric in Davos, makes this more concerning. Watch him talking about the language that we'd all be speaking.
And then after the war, which we won it big. Without us, right now you'd all be speaking German and a little Japanese, perhaps.
He's in Davos, Switzerland, and if you just do a simple Google search, the primary language spoken in Switzerland is German. So he's just so, it kind of reminds me of a few months ago when he asked what the primary language is of this leader that was visiting, and it was English. The guy just spoke English the entire time. Donald Trump never knows when to stop. But I think the main point that I want to make here is that Donald Trump has completely backed off after already threatening and shattering the North Atlantic Alliance. It kind of reminds me of when Donald Trump asked the Liberian president where he learned English, and then we were all like, dude, Liberia's main language is English, quite literally. He's just an absolute idiot. And that's why the main point that I want to make here, the main point that I want to bring home in this video is that Donald Trump has already shattered the global alliance and then left in humiliation. It doesn't matter if he backed off. It doesn't matter that he's caving. It doesn't matter if he always chickens out. Him escalating in this manner already ruins us strategically. Every single time he manufactures a crisis and then uses this crisis to point fingers at our ally and literally attack our allies with tariffs and potential military force, it weakens the global alliance that we have benefited from. Here is MAGA Mike Johnson being asked about Donald Trump's physical health. I really want to point out that the media needs to be placing just as much pressure on this administration to be transparent about Trump's health as they did with the Biden administration. You know, if you want more videos covering Donald Trump's complete and utter decline, make sure you drop a like and double check to make sure you're subscribed to the Adam Mockler feed below, whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook. It helps a lot. Here's MAGA Mike Johnson getting confronted.
Yes, it's an important year ahead of us with so many events around the think it'd be a reckless decision on their part.
The president mistakenly called Greenland Iceland. His speech is slurred. He's got bruises on his hands. Are you at all worried about the president's health or his decline at all?
Is this a serious question? This president sleeps about 3 hours a night. He outworks everybody in this building by a factor of 2 or 3.
Wait, so their argument is that he's so sleep deprived. Okay, so sleep deprivation trumps Donald Trump's inability to speak properly somehow. His territorial ambitions to grab Greenland were only stopped by his absolute utter stupidity because he kept calling it Iceland, and then other world leaders talked him off of the ledge. He didn't just blink on Greenland. He didn't just cave. He basically confirmed all of the worst fears about American impulses and leadership, like just erratic, impulsive people. And then he backed off, which further degraded our standing on the global stage. Right here, Donald Trump tweets out, heading back to DC, it was an incredible time in Davos. The Greenland structure is being worked on and will be amazing for the USA. And the Board of Peace is something that the world has never seen before. Very special. This is honestly just pissing me off and making me cringe so hard. It makes me so frustrated because we have NATO. Basically, the NATO Secretary General tricked Trump into recreating NATO, not with the Board of Peace, but with some working group on Greenland. He's probably going to say, listen, we are all going to work together to put more troops in Greenland and create a sort of alliance where we can all push back in one uniform way against any threats, which is literally just NATO with extra steps. But then we have this Board of Peace that Donald Trump is working on, which is anything but. The reports are, thus far, that the star players on the Board of Peace are Benjamin Netanyahu and Vladimir Putin, along with Donald Trump, who has been threatening Greenland, threatening Venezuela and other countries. That is our Board of Peace. That is quite literally like creating a board of public safety, and on it you put Jeffrey Dahmer and Ted Bundy. They get to design the public safety routes and the ways that people, stay safe on a daily basis. Here's Elon Musk on this Board of Peace. I think you need to watch this because he utterly humiliates himself right as his Davos speech starts. He tries to make a joke about peace, like P-E-A-C-E, versus like a piece of candy or a piece of Greenland. Watch.
I heard about the formation of the Peace Summit, and I was like, is that P-I-E-C? A little piece of Greenland, a little piece of Venezuela.
we got one.
All we want is peace.
I don't think anybody in the crowd laughed at that. He got a pity laugh from the person on stage with him, but everybody else was so incredibly uncomfortable. I want to loop this back to the cover-ups that are repeatedly happening from this administration. Whether it's the Epstein files, whether it's Donald Trump's health, whether it's his continued cognitive decline. Like, look at this. This is a way too high resolution of an image. Being old is one thing. I would never just shit on somebody or rag on somebody for aging. I have family members who are obviously in their 80s that I love very, very much, but this is different. You can see the difference between his orange face and skin right here, where it meets his ear. You can see where it meets his ear and what his skin tone is actually supposed to look like. This means he literally just smears orange bronzer all over his face and neck every morning to make himself look more tan on camera. But he can't even cover up this on his left hand, this rapid bruising. Again, Trump appears to have heavy bruising on his left hand as he's leaving Davos and leaving the United States in utter humiliation. I'm going to leave it there. Make sure you drop a like and subscribe if you want us to continue exposing this administration as they just destabilize NATO and destabilize our image on the global stage. Love you all. Peace out.